Long before humans traveled among the stars, the galaxy already carried many secrets. Some were beautiful, like worlds filled with oceans and strange glowing forests. Some were dangerous, like black holes waiting in silence. But one secret was darker than all others. It was a creature. It was called by many names, but most civilizations only whispered one title: the Predator. This was no ordinary beast. It did not hunt because it was hungry. It did not kill because it was afraid. It hunted because it wanted to prove that nothing in the universe was stronger than it. For centuries, the Predator moved from world to world. On one planet, it hunted giant creatures that could crush mountains. On another, it brought down armies of machines built to protect their makers. No weapon stopped it. No trap fooled it. The Predator was clever, patient, and merciless. Some said it enjoyed the fear of its prey more than the victory. Entire civilizations disappeared after crossing its path. Stars continued to burn, but the voices of those who once lived near them were gone. Only silence remained. Stories of the Predator spread like shadows across the galaxy. Even species that never saw it still feared it. Mothers warned their children not to wander too far into the dark sky. Soldiers prayed they would never see the shining mask of the hunter. And yet, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the Predator vanished. One day it was feared across the galaxy. The next, there were no more attacks, no more hunts, no more signs of its presence. Some believed it had finally been destroyed. Others believed it had moved beyond the galaxy, looking for stronger prey. And a few whispered the most frightening thought of all, that it was only resting. Time passed. Civilizations rose and fell. New empires began, old ones turned to dust. Humanity was young during these times. While the Predator hunted far away, humans were still learning to build fire, still looking up at the stars without understanding what waited there. They had no idea that a nightmare once walked across the stars they admired. But history has a strange way of circling back. What disappears often returns. Thousands of years later, humanity had grown. They built ships that crossed the Black Sea of space. They colonized new worlds and sent signals into the dark, searching for friends among the stars. They dreamed of peace, of meeting new life. But sometimes, when one searches too deeply, they awaken things that should have stayed asleep. In the year of humanity's great expansion, explorers discovered the ruins of a planet. At first, they thought it was just another dead world. Its surface was broken, its cities shattered, its skies heavy with dust. Yet when their scanners dug deeper, they found something terrifying. No natural disaster had destroyed this place. No war between armies had caused this silence. The signs were clear: this was the work of a single force. Something had hunted this world until nothing was left alive. Among the ruins, explorers found symbols carved into stone walls. They were not words of the dead civilization. They were marks left by another. A warning, or perhaps a message of pride. The translation was rough, but one phrase repeated again and again. It said, "The hunt is eternal." For the first time, humanity felt a chill that no technology could warm. The ruins carried more than broken stones. They carried a presence, like a shadow still waiting. Ships that landed there often reported strange signals, sounds that did not belong. Echoes in the dark, like footsteps that followed the living. The more humans searched, the more they became sure of one thing: the Predator was not a story. It had lived. It had destroyed. And perhaps, it still existed. Then came the signal. At first, it was faint, like a ghost whispering through static. It did not match any known language. Scientists worked to decode it, expecting data or coordinates. But when the message became clear, fear spread through every listener. The voice was not human. It was deep, cold, filled with power. And it spoke only a few words: "Do not search for me. Do not awaken the hunter." The message repeated, over and over, across many frequencies. Some believed it was a warning. Others believed it was a trap. But one thing was certain: This voice came from the same presence that had carved its mark on the ruins. The predator was real. And if the voice was true, it was not gone. It was waiting. In command centers, leaders argued. Should humanity stop exploring this ruin, or should they continue? The human spirit was always curious, always brave, sometimes even reckless. Many said the warning was only a trick, maybe from another alien race. They said the galaxy was too vast to fear an old story. But in the silence of deep space, when the stars flickered like eyes watching from the dark, the truth could not be ignored. Something ancient had left its mark. Something powerful enough to erase entire civilizations had once hunted the galaxy. And now, humanity stood at the edge of its shadow. The question was not whether the predator existed. The question was simple and terrifying. Had humanity just awakened it? The signal did not fade. Day after day, it continued to echo through human communication networks. At first, only a few scientists studied it, but soon the entire Earth Council demanded answers. Every expert tried to decode more, but the message never changed. The same chilling words repeated again and again. Do not search for me. Do not awaken the hunter. Some leaders wanted to ignore it. They said humanity had too many new colonies to waste time on ghost voices. Others insisted it was too important. What if the message was real? What if the creature that destroyed whole civilizations was not only alive but near? Still, curiosity was stronger than fear. A decision was made. A team of explorers would trace the origin of the signal. The journey took them far beyond the known colonies, into dark space where few ships had ever gone. Their vessel, the Starseer, carried the best crew humanity could offer. Soldiers, scientists, engineers, and one linguist who believed he could learn more from the alien voice. The ship glided through endless silence, stars watching them like cold eyes. Every day the signal grew stronger. And every day, the crew grew more uneasy. Some swore they felt watched. Others reported hearing sounds in the corridors when no one else was near. Machines began to fail without reason. But the captain pushed them forward. She believed that truth, even dangerous truth, was better than ignorance. At last, they reached a dead world that matched the coordinates. Its surface was blackened, as though fire had consumed it long ago. Enormous scars stretched across the land, marks too large to be made by bombs or machines. It was the work of something else, something that had destroyed not just cities, but the very skin of the planet. The Starseer descended into the atmosphere, landing near a massive structure half buried in ash. It was not a city. It looked more like a tomb. The crew entered cautiously, lights cutting through the darkness. Inside, the walls were covered with carvings, the same phrase again and again. The hunt is eternal. Deep in the tomb, they found it. At first, they thought it was a statue. A tall figure, armored and still, frozen inside a chamber of alien technology. Its mask was strange, sharp like a bird of prey, its body massive with scars that spoke of endless battles. The scientists whispered that this was no statue. This was stasis, an ancient form of sleep that could last centuries. The predator was inside, waiting. The air grew colder as they stood before it. Some said it felt like the figure was already aware of them, as if eyes were watching from behind the mask. The linguist was the first to notice. The alien carvings around the chamber glowed faintly. The same signal that had haunted them for weeks pulsed here, flowing through the stone itself. He placed his device against the wall, trying to decode more. But then something unexpected happened. The predator moved. Slowly, as though waking from a dream, its chest rose. The stasis field cracked, and light filled the chamber. The crew stepped back in fear, weapons raised. The captain shouted for calm, but the fear was too great. Fingers trembled on triggers. The predator's eyes opened. What the crew expected was an attack. Stories had always described the predator as a killer without mercy. But instead, it simply stood, towering above them. It looked at each human, not with hunger, but with something else, curiosity. Then, in a deep and harsh voice, it spoke. The words were broken, the sound rough, but the meaning was clear enough. I told you not to search. The crew froze. An alien was speaking to them in their own tongue, though distorted. The linguist trembled but managed to reply. Who are you? The predator tilted its head, almost like it was amused. I am the one you fear, it said. The hunter of all. The last of my kind. Silence fell. The crew could not believe what they were hearing. The legends were true. The stories whispered across the galaxy were not only real, but the monster was here, standing in front of them. Yet something was strange. It did not attack. It did not roar or strike. It only watched them with a gaze sharp as knives. The captain asked the question that weighed on all their minds. Why did you warn us? The predator's mask hissed as it released steam, and for a moment its scarred face was visible. Alien, terrifying, yet carrying an expression almost human. Because, it said, the hunt never ends. You have awakened me. And now, I must decide. The crew waited, holding their breath. Decide what? The captain asked carefully. The predator's eyes burned with a strange light. If you are prey, or if you are worthy. With those words, the chamber shook. Ancient machines hidden in the walls powered on, their energy flowing into the ground. The ruins were not a tomb. They were a cage, a prison built to hold the predator for eternity. Now, that prison was broken. And as the dust rose around them, the crew realized something terrifying. Humanity had not only found the predator, they had freed it. The predator stepped out of the chamber. Its body loomed like a living weapon, its movements slow but filled with deadly grace. The humans raised their rifles again, but the captain stopped them. She could see the truth in its eyes. If it wanted to kill them, they would already be dead. Instead, the predator walked past them, out into the ruined world. It stood beneath the broken sky, breathing the air of freedom after centuries of silence. Then it turned, and in its harsh, rumbling voice, it said words that sent chills through every human heart. Now, we hunt together. The Starseer's crew could not sleep after what they had witnessed. The predator was no longer just a legend whispered in alien ruins. It stood alive among them, its heavy steps echoing through the corridors of their ship. Every crew member felt the same fear, that one mistake, one wrong move, could turn them into prey. Yet the creature did not attack. It studied them. It sat in silence, its mask glowing faintly as if it was measuring every detail of human strength and weakness. For hours it did not speak, and the silence became unbearable. Finally, the captain gathered her courage and asked the question no one else dared. Why did you let us live? The predator turned slowly, its gaze sharp and unblinking. Because your kind is different, it said. The voice was harsh, broken, but each word carried weight. The linguist leaned forward, desperate to understand more. Different how? The predator stood tall, as if remembering something far older than any human civilization. I hunted the strongest beasts. I hunted machines with minds of steel. I hunted empires that thought themselves eternal. I killed kings, soldiers, and gods they prayed to. All fell before me. But then, its voice grew quieter, almost heavy, as though speaking of a wound that never healed. Then I faced the one enemy even I could not defeat. Time. Every hunt ended the same. Every victory brought only silence. My enemies died, their worlds forgotten, and I was left alone. The galaxy became empty. There was no prey left worthy of my hunt. So I entered the long sleep, waiting for a new challenge. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Was humanity now that challenge? The predator seemed to sense their fear. Do not mistake me. I am no ally. But I am no mindless beast. I do not hunt for food. I do not hunt for survival. I hunt to prove who deserves to stand, and who deserves to fall. The captain asked carefully, and what do you see when you look at us? The predator's mask hissed softly, releasing a puff of steam. It stepped closer, towering over them. I see fire. Small, but dangerous. I see a species that refuses to kneel, even when it should. I see potential. Those words shook the crew. Was this monster saying it respected humanity? Or was it saying humans were only interesting prey, not yet ready to be destroyed? The linguist dared to ask. Then why warn us not to search for you? For the first time, the predator made a sound like laughter, though it was dark and unsettling. Because I know your kind. You do not stop. You do not fear enough to run. You hear a warning, and you see a challenge. You were always going to come. And now, here we stand. Silence filled the chamber again. The humans tried to understand what this meant. Could this being truly walk beside them? Or was it waiting for the right moment to begin the greatest hunt of all? The predator seemed to read their doubt. Do not think you control me, it said. If I wished, your ship would already be painted with your blood. But I did not wake to destroy you. Not yet. There is a storm coming. Greater hunters than I are moving in the dark. You cannot see them, but I can. And when they arrive, you will face what no weapon of yours can stop. The captain frowned. What storm? What hunters? The predator did not answer directly. Instead, it walked to the ship's viewing window and stared at the stars. You call them the swarm, it said finally. The crew froze. The swarm was only a rumor, stories of hive creatures that consumed entire systems. No one had ever proven they were real. But if the predator believed they were near, then the nightmare might be closer than humanity imagined. The predator turned back to them. I am not your friend, but I know the swarm. I know their hunger. They do not hunt with honor. They do not choose the strong. They devour all. If they reach your worlds, you will burn. And I do not allow prey like that to exist. They are unworthy of the hunt. The weight of its words filled the room. For the first time, the humans understood. This creature, feared across the galaxy, was not offering peace. It was offering survival, because it wanted to fight a greater enemy. To fight, it needed allies, even if those allies were fragile humans. The captain looked into the predator's burning eyes and realized something even more dangerous. This was not just a hunter. This was a being that lived only for challenge. If humanity proved strong, it might stand beside them. If humanity proved weak, it would end them itself. The predator's truth was simple and terrifying. It did not see them as friends. It saw them as a test. And for humanity, the real hunt had just begun. The return of the predator shook humanity to its core. When the Star Seer transmitted proof of its discovery, the Earth Council and the colonies erupted into chaos. Some leaders demanded that the creature be destroyed at once. They said no species could ever trust a monster that had wiped out entire civilizations. Others argued that the predator was not an enemy but a weapon, one too powerful to waste. If the swarm was real, then perhaps this ancient hunter was the only thing standing between humanity and extinction. The debate split governments, armies, and even the common people. Fear and hope clashed like fire and water. On the Star Seer itself, the crew faced the same conflict. Some soldiers kept their rifles ready at all times, convinced the predator would eventually turn on them. Others, especially the scientists, were fascinated. They said this was the first time in history that the most feared being in the galaxy had chosen to speak instead of kill. But trust was fragile. Every time the predator walked through the ship's corridors, silence followed. Its heavy steps made even the bravest men nervous. And yet, it never harmed them. It sat with the engineers, watching them repair the ship. It listened to the linguist as he tried to teach it human words. Slowly, it began to understand more, though its voice always carried that rough, chilling tone. The captain, however, carried the heaviest burden. She had to decide what to tell the council. Was this being a threat, or was it a chance to save humanity from something worse? During one tense meeting, she asked the predator directly, "What do you want from us?" The alien tilted its head, its mask reflecting the light of the ship's monitors. "I want only the hunt. it answered. If you stand with me, I do not hunt you. If you betray me, I end you. Simple. The words were sharp, but there was a strange honesty in them. The predator did not lie. It did not play tricks. It gave its terms clearly: loyalty for loyalty, betrayal for death. The council was divided even further after hearing this. Some said the deal was madness. How could humanity place its survival in the hands of a killer? Others said it was a chance humanity could not waste. The swarm was not a story anymore. Scouts had begun to vanish on the outer colonies, their signals swallowed by silence. Rumors of dark shapes moving in the void grew stronger. Perhaps the swarm was already here. Without the predator, humanity might have no chance at all. Still, trust was not easy. A weapon that powerful could turn at any moment. One general spoke the fear everyone held in their hearts. What happens when the swarm is gone? What happens when there are no more enemies? Who will the predator hunt then? No one had an answer. The predator itself gave none. It seemed amused whenever humans asked such questions, as if their fear was a puzzle it enjoyed watching. But deep in its eyes, there was something more, something even it did not speak aloud. The captain noticed it when she stood near it during long journeys. For all its pride and strength, there was a shadow in its gaze. Perhaps the predator was not only hunting others. Perhaps it was also hunting for a purpose, something beyond endless battles. But purpose or not, humanity had to make a decision. And decisions brought consequences. A secret order was soon formed within the council. Some leaders wanted to study the predator's biology, its technology, its weapons. They whispered about capturing it, dissecting it, turning its body into blueprints for war machines. To them, the predator was not a partner. It was a prize. But the captain of the Starseer sensed the danger of this path. She warned them, if we betray it, there will be no second chance. It will wipe us out before we even understand what we awakened. Her words carried weight, but not enough to silence the greedy voices. Humanity stood at a crossroad, torn between fear, ambition, and survival. Meanwhile, the predator itself seemed to sense the division. One evening, it spoke to the crew, its voice low like thunder. You argue like prey cornered by fire. Decide quickly. When the swarm comes, hesitation means death. The crew fell silent. For the first time, they realized something terrifying. The predator was not simply offering them a choice. It was testing them. Would humanity prove worthy to stand beside the galaxy's greatest hunter, or would it fall apart in its own fear and mistrust? The dilemma was not only about survival against the swarm. It was about survival against themselves. Humanity's greatest danger might not come from the stars. It might come from the weakness within. And as the predator watched them with unblinking eyes, one thing was clear: the hunt for humanity's future had already begun. The first signs of the swarm arrived quietly, almost unnoticed. At the far edge of human space, a mining colony stopped sending messages. At first, the council believed it was a simple communication failure. But then another outpost went dark, and another after that. Patrol ships sent to investigate never returned. All that was found were fragments of hulls drifting through space, torn apart as if chewed by invisible teeth. Fear spread across the colonies, but the council still argued, too divided to act quickly. Only the predator remained certain. Standing before the council's holographic chamber, its deep voice echoed through the hall. They are here. The swarm has begun feeding. The room fell into silence. Many wanted to deny it, but the evidence was already too strong. The swarm, a nightmare spoken of only in rumors, had arrived. Unlike the predator, they did not hunt for honor or challenge. They consumed everything in their path. Planets, machines, civilizations. Nothing was spared. The predator spoke with a cold certainty. They do not stop. They do not bargain. They do not leave survivors. When the swarm comes, you have only two choices: fight or be devoured. The words sent chills through every listener, for they knew this was no empty warning. The Predator had seen them before. The captain of the Starseer asked the question on everyone's mind. Can we defeat them? The Predator paused, its mask reflecting the Council's lights. Alone, no. You are too young. Too weak. Your weapons will slow them, but not stop them. With me, maybe. Together, we have a chance. But you must fight like hunters, not prey. These words struck hard. Humanity had always fought with technology, with ships and weapons designed for control and distance. The Predator spoke of something different, of war as a hunt, of survival through brutal cunning and unity. Still, the Council hesitated. Some leaders believed standing with the Predator was too dangerous. Others believed not standing with it meant certain death. While they argued, the swarm struck again. This time not at a distant colony, but at a military outpost near the inner systems. The attack was swift and merciless. Thousands of soldiers died before they even understood what was happening. The survivors spoke of black shapes falling from the sky, wings blotting out the stars, jaws that tore through steel, claws that melted armor like paper. No negotiation, no warning, only endless hunger. The news shocked Earth itself. Panic spread across cities. People whispered that the end had come, that humanity would be wiped away like those forgotten civilizations the Predator had spoken of. But then came something unexpected. In the ashes of the destroyed outpost, a single ship returned. It was the Starseer, and on its deck stood the Predator. Footage spread across every screen, this alien hunter fighting beside human soldiers, cutting through the swarm with deadly precision. It moved like a storm, blades and plasma tearing through enemy flesh. For the first time, humanity saw the Predator not as a legend of fear, but as a warrior on their side. Morale shifted. Fear became determination. Across the colonies, people began to whisper a new phrase, "The hunter fights with us." The Council had no choice now. The truth was clear. The swarm was too great, and the Predator was the only ally strong enough to stand against it. A fragile alliance was declared. Humanity and the Predator would fight side by side. Yet even as soldiers celebrated, unease remained. Could they truly trust this being? Or would it turn on them once the swarm was gone? The captain of the Starseer carried that question like a weight in her chest. She had seen the Predator up close, seen its scars, its hunger for challenge. She knew it did not fight for peace, or for mercy. It fought because the swarm was worthy prey, nothing more. When the swarm was gone, who would be the next worthy prey? The Predator itself gave no comfort. When asked why it stood with humanity, it answered simply, "The swarm dishonors the hunt. They take everything. They leave nothing. I will not allow such prey to exist." That was all. No promises, no oaths, only a temporary alignment of purpose. But for now, it was enough. Humanity prepared for war unlike any they had faced before. Armies trained not just with rifles and ships, but with strategies learned from the Predator itself. Ambushes, traps, movements designed not only to kill but to break the enemy's will. Soldiers wore new symbols, marks given by the Predator, symbols of hunters instead of prey. And in the heart of every soldier, one truth grew stronger. The fight for survival had begun, and the galaxy's greatest hunter now walked beside them. But as the stars filled with movement and the swarm prepared to strike in full, another truth remained hidden in the shadows. Humanity had gained an ally. But it had also invited the most dangerous predator in existence into its heart. And once the greater enemy was gone, no one knew who the hunter would choose to stand beside, and who it would choose to hunt. The war began not with warning but with fire. The swarm came in numbers beyond imagination, their ships blotting out the stars like an endless storm. They descended on human colonies, tearing through defenses as if they were paper walls. Entire fleets vanished in hours. Cities that had taken centuries to build were reduced to ash in a single night. Humanity fought bravely, but the truth was clear. Their weapons, their strategies, their courage alone were not enough. Against the endless tide of the swarm, they were drowning. And then, the Predator led them. It did not command like a general reading maps. It commanded like a hunter guiding a pack. It taught humans to strike fast, to vanish into shadows, to lure the enemy into traps where even the strongest beasts could be brought down. For the first time, humanity fought not like prey defending itself, but like hunters fighting for the kill. Battles turned. Outposts once thought lost became fortresses of resistance. Soldiers who once trembled now painted their armor with the predator's marks, believing the spirit of the hunter gave them strength. The predator itself stood at the front, never hiding, never retreating. Its blades cut through swarm flesh, its plasma burned through their armored hides. Every move was precise, every strike carried deadly purpose. The crew of the Starseer fought beside it, each moment knowing that without this creature they would already be dead. Still, the swarm was vast, and the final battle came at Earth itself. From the dark void, their fleets poured in waves, surrounding the planet like a sea of teeth. Sirens echoed through every city, children were carried into bunkers, soldiers prepared to make their final stand. Above the atmosphere, the Predator stood on the command deck of the Starseer, its gaze fixed on the enemy. "This is the true hunt," it said, its voice like thunder. "Win here, or you will be nothing but bones in their nests." The humans knew it spoke the truth. The battle began with fire raining from the skies. Swarm ships broke through defenses and dropped monstrous creatures onto the surface. Streets turned into battlefields, skies filled with smoke and screams. But humanity did not break. They fought with the Predator's tactics, turning every street into a trap, every ruin into a fortress. Civilians picked up weapons beside soldiers. Earth itself had become a hunting ground. And at the center of it all, the Predator moved like a storm, guiding, killing, striking with unrelenting fury. The final clash came when the swarm's queen descended. Larger than any ship, her body burned with alien fire, her wings stretching across the sky like shadows of death. She was the mind behind the hive, the heart of their hunger. If she fell, the swarm would break. If she lived, humanity would burn. The Predator looked at her with eyes blazing. For the first time, it roared, a sound that shook the battlefield. It leapt into the sky, clashing with the queen in a storm of claws and blades. Humanity watched in awe and terror as their unlikely ally battled the greatest monster they had ever seen. The queen's talons tore through armor, her scream shattered glass for miles, but the Predator did not falter. Every wound it took only made it strike harder, faster, more viciously. The humans did not stand idle. Following the Predator's command, they swarmed the queen with ships, missiles, and plasma fire, cutting her defenses piece by piece. The Predator climbed her body like a shadow of vengeance, tearing through flesh and armor until at last, with one final strike, it drove its blade deep into her skull. The queen fell, her body crashing into the earth like a dying mountain. Silence followed, broken only by the distant echoes of swarm creatures retreating. The hive was broken. The war was won. But victory carried a price. The Predator stood on the queen's corpse, its body torn with wounds, its armor shattered, its blood burning against the air. Humanity cheered, but their cheers faltered as they saw it stagger. The captain of the Starseer rushed forward, shouting for medics, but the Predator waved them away. "No," it said, its voice weaker now but still filled with power. "I do not die like prey." It looked across the battlefield, at the humans who had fought beside it, at the cities burning yet still alive. In its eyes, there was something strange, something no one expected: pride. "You hunted well," it said. "Perhaps. You are worthy after all." Then it fell to one knee, its strength fading. Soldiers who once feared it now ran to support it, holding the monster that had saved their world. For the first time in history, the galaxy's greatest hunter was not an enemy, not a destroyer, but a protector who had stood at humanity's side. And as the smoke of battle cleared, one question remained, heavy in every human heart. If the Predator lived, what would it choose next? Would it remain their ally, or would it one day decide that humanity itself was the final prey worth hunting? The battlefield was silent after the queen fell. Smoke rose over ruined cities, the sky still burning from the fire of war, but the endless roar of the swarm was gone. For the first time, Humanity had faced an enemy greater than anything in its history, and had survived. Soldiers embraced one another, civilians crawled out from bunkers, and the stars above Earth felt brighter, as if the galaxy itself had paused to witness the impossible. And at the center of this victory stood the Predator, scarred and broken yet unbowed. Its wounds bled, but its eyes still burned with the fire of a hunter who had found the greatest challenge of all. Medics tried to pull it onto stretchers, but it refused. It stood tall, leaning only slightly, its massive body still commanding fear and respect. The captain of the Starseer stepped forward, her face filled with exhaustion and awe. "You saved us," she said. The Predator tilted its head, its mask cracked and sparking. "No," it replied, its voice low and heavy. "You saved yourselves. I only showed you how to fight." Those words spread quickly through the survivors, and soon they became a legend of their own. The Predator did not claim victory for itself. It gave it to humanity. But even in this moment of triumph, unease lingered. The council met in secret chambers, debating what to do now. Some argued that the Predator should be honored as an ally, even welcomed as part of Earth's defense. Others whispered darker thoughts. They feared that once the swarm was gone, the Predator would turn its gaze on humanity itself. To them, this creature was not a savior but a storm that could one day destroy them if they let their guard down. And so, hidden orders began to form, plans to watch the Predator, to study its weapons, perhaps even to build defenses against it. But on the battlefield, among the soldiers who had fought beside it, the feeling was different. They had seen the way it fought, the way it bled, the way it chose to stand with them when it could have walked away. To them, it was more than a monster. It was proof that even the deadliest hunter in the galaxy could choose to fight for something greater than itself. Days passed, and slowly the fires of war dimmed. The swarm was broken, their queen slain, their hives scattered. Humanity began to rebuild. But the Predator remained a shadow among them, walking through cities where people stared in fear and wonder. Children whispered its name. Soldiers saluted it as if it were a general. And yet, it never claimed power. It simply watched, learned, and remained silent. One night, as the captain stood on the balcony of the Starseer, looking at the stars, she felt a presence behind her. The Predator had come, silent as always, its armor reflecting the faint light. "You look troubled," it said, surprising her with how much clearer its words had become. She turned, meeting its unblinking gaze. "I wonder what happens now," she admitted. "The swarm is gone. The war is over. But you, what do you plan to do?" The Predator was silent for a long time, its head tilted toward the horizon. "Once, I hunted to prove I was stronger than all. But strength meant nothing. Every world I destroyed, every enemy I killed, left me alone. Now, I see something different. You humans, you fight not because you are the strongest, but because you refuse to kneel. You fight for one another, not only for yourselves. That is new to me." The captain felt a chill, unsure if its words were a promise or a warning. "Does that mean you will stay with us?" she asked carefully. The Predator turned, its cracked mask hiding whatever expression lay beneath. "For now," it said. "This hunt is not finished. Perhaps it never will be." Then it stepped away, vanishing into the shadows as silently as it had appeared. In the following weeks, rumors spread. Some said the Predator was seen helping soldiers rebuild cities. Others claimed it vanished into the mountains, hunting the last fragments of the swarm. A few whispered that it had already left Earth, seeking new hunts beyond the stars. No one knew the truth, and perhaps that was how it wanted it. Because the greatest question was no longer whether the Predator was friend or enemy. The question was whether humanity itself had now become part of its eternal hunt. And yet, when dawn rose over Earth and the light touched the ruins of cities still standing, there was hope. The Predator had walked beside humanity, not against it. It had chosen, for now, to fight as one of them. And perhaps, just perhaps, this was the greatest hunt of all. Not to destroy, but to protect. Still, deep in every human heart, one thought remained like a shadow. When the day came that the galaxy no longer offered enemies strong enough to challenge the predator, would it turn its gaze on humanity itself? The hunter's choice was not final. It was only delayed. And as the stars stretched endlessly above, both humans and the predator knew one truth. The hunt was not over. It never would be.